So today, I'll talk about viruses, their general properties, structure and classification. So these viruses are infectious agents with simple acellular organization which possess only one type of a nucleic acid, which may be either DNA or RNA, but never both, and they can reproduce only within living cells. And among the viruses, the pox virus are one of the largest virus, and the parvoviruses are the smallest virus. So now we'll see the general properties of viruses. So viruses are obligate intracellular parasites, and they lack the enzyme that is necessary for protein and the nucleic acid synthesis. They are the smallest infectious agent, and they contain only one kind of a nucleic acid, that is RNA or DNA, as their genome. In viruses, the nucleic acid is encased in a protein shell which may be surrounded by a lipid-containing membrane, and the entire infectious unit is termed as the virion. So these viruses, they can exist in two phases. That is, the first one is the extracellular and the second one is the intracellular phase. These virions, they exist in the extracellular phase, and they possess few enzymes and cannot reproduce independent of the living cells. In the intracellular phase, viruses exist as a replicating nucleic acid and induce the host metabolism to synthesize the virion's component. Finally, the complete virus particles or the virions are released. So these viruses, they differ from living cells in three ways. The first one is their simple acellular organization. The second one is the absence of both DNA and RNA in the same virion, and their inability to reproduce independent of cells and carry out cell division. So now we'll see the structure of viruses. So virus range in size from 20 nanometer to 300 nanometer. The packed structure of a virus has two main advantages. The first one is that it keeps the viral genome intact. Then it enables the infection of the appropriate host cell. So all the variants, they are constructed around a nucleocapsid core. So this nucleocapsid is composed of a nucleic acid, which may be either DNA or an RNA, and which is held within a protein core which is called as capsid. And the function of the capsid is to protect the viral genetic material, and they aids in its transfer between the host cells. There are four types of capsids and the virion structure. So the first one is the icosahedral capsid. An icosahedron is a regular polygon with 20 equilateral triangular faces and 12 vertices. The second one is the helical capsid. Helical capsid appear like a hollow protein cylinder which may be either rigid or flexible. The third one is the enveloped viruses. Some viruses has an outer membranous layer which surrounds the nucleocapsid, that is known as the envelope. These viruses appear to have a roughly spherical, though their nucleocapsid can be either icosahedral or it can be a helical also. The fourth one is the complex virus. These viruses have a capsid symmetry that is neither icosahedral nor helical, and they may possess tails and other structures or have a complex multi-layered wall surrounding the nucleic acid. So now we'll come to the icosahedral viruses. Many viruses, they pack their genome in an icosahedral capsid, and they take the form of a polyhedron with 20 identical triangular faces. In the capsid, each triangle can be composed of 3 identical but asymmetrical protein units. And the overall structure, it exhibits a rotational symmetry which is characteristic of an icosahedron. So this capsid symmetry is important for the structure determination and the visualization for the design of antiviral drugs. In some icosahedral viruses, the capsid is enclosed in an envelope which is composed of a membrane that is derived from the host cell in which the variant is formed. Next, we'll see the helical viruses. Helical capsid are like hollow tubes with the protein walls. So, tobacco mosaic virus, which we also commonly call it as TMV, has a helical capsid. In the tobacco mosaic virus, the RNA is wound in a spiral and it's positioned towards the inside of the capsid. And the size of a helical capsid is influenced by both its protomers and the nucleic acid enclosed within the capsid. In such viruses, the nucleic acid determines the helical capsid length, as the capsid does not seem to extend much beyond the end of the DNA or the RNA. So now we'll come to the viral envelope and the enzymes. So some of the viruses, they are bounded by an outer membranous layer that is known as an envelope. The lipids and the carbohydrates of the envelope, they are derived from the host cell constituent. In contrast, these envelope proteins, they are coded by a virus gene and may even project from the envelope surfaces as spikes, or also call it as peplomers. So these spikes are involved in the attachment of the host cell surface. So influenza virus is one of the example of the envelope virus. In this virus, that is the influenza virus, spikes projects about 10 nanometer from the surface at an interval of 7 to 8 nanometer. And some of the spikes, they possess the enzyme neuraminidase, which helps the virus in penetrating the mucous layer of the epithelium to reach the host cell, while the other spikes, that is known as hemagglutinin proteins, it helps the variants to bind to the red blood cells membrane and cause hemagglutination. So now we'll come to the viruses with capsid of complex symmetry. So some of the viruses, they have neither icosahedral capsid nor helical, and they are placed in a virus with a complex symmetry. The pox virus and the large bacteriophages are the virus having the complex symmetry. The pox virus, which is one of the largest viruses among the animal viruses, poses an exceptionally complex internal structure with an ovoid to brick-shaped exterior. The double-stranded DNA is associated with proteins and it contains in the nucleate. In the case of bacteriophages, their head resembles an icosahedron and is elongated by 1 or 2 rows of hexamers in the middle and contains the DNA genome. The tail is composed of a collar joining it to the head, a central hollow tube, a sheath surrounding the tube, and a complex base plate. In the case of T. evenphages, the base plate is hexagonal and has a pin and a jointed tail fiber at each corner. Here, the tail fibers are responsible for the attachment of the virus to the proper site on the bacterial surface. In the case of these complex viruses, with both head and the tail, they are said to have a biennial symmetry, as they possess a combination of icosahedral, that is the head and the helical symmetry. Now we'll come to viral nucleic acid. So virus employed all four types of or all four possible nucleic acid types, that is single-stranded DNA, double-stranded DNA, single-stranded RNA and the double-stranded RNA. All these four types of nucleic acid are found in animal viruses, while in case of plant viruses, they mostly have single-stranded RNA genome. And the size of the viral genetic material also varies greatly. The smallest genome is about 1 × 10⁶ daltons, while some other viruses such as the T. evenphagus, herpes virus and the vaccinia virus have a genome size of around 1 to 1.6 × 10⁸ daltons. So most of the DNA virus, they use the double-stranded DNA as their genetic material, while the RNA viruses, they employ mostly of the single-stranded RNA as their genetic material. And sometimes the RNA base sequence may be identical with that of the viral mRNA, that is the messenger RNA. So in this case, the RNA strand is called the plus strand or the positive strand. For example, the poliovirus, tobacco mosaic virus and the Rous sarcoma viruses are the positive strand RNA virus. However, the viral RNA genome may instead be complementary to viral mRNA, then it is called the minus strand or the negative strand. Rabies, mumps, measles and influenza virus are some of the negative strand RNA virus. So now we'll come to the classification of viruses. The most commonly used classification of viruses is the Baltimore classification, which is developed by an American biologist named David Baltimore. So Baltimore classification scheme, this grouped the viruses into 7 classes based on their mode of replication and the genome type. So viruses, they are placed in one of the 7 following groups. The first one is group 1. It consists of double-stranded DNA virus. Next is group 2 is composed of a single-stranded DNA viruses. Group 3 consists of double-stranded RNA viruses. Then group 4 composed of positive sense single-stranded RNA viruses. Group 5 consists of negative sense single-stranded RNA viruses. Group 6 consists of reverse transcribing single-stranded RNA virus. Then group 7 composed of reverse transcribing circular double-stranded DNA virus. So first we'll come to the group 1, that is the double-stranded DNA viruses. Under this, the virus must enter the host nucleus to replicate. In addition, they also require the host cell polymerase to replicate, and hence they highly depend on the cell cycle. The virus may induce the cell to undergo the cell division, which lead to the transformation of the cell and ultimately develop cancer. The viruses coming under this group include the herpes viridae, adenoviridae and papoviridae. Now we'll see the group 2, which is composed of single-stranded DNA viruses. Viruses under this group have a circular genome and they mostly replicate within the host nucleus, usually by rolling circle replication mechanism, and forms a double-stranded intermediate in the process. So viruses that comes under this include the Aniloviridae, Cercoviridae and the Parvoviridae. Parvoviridae are those that infects the vertebrates, the Geminiviridae and the Nanoviridae which infects the plants, and Microviridae that infects the prokaryotes are some of the viruses that comes under this group. Now we'll come to the group 3, that includes the double-stranded RNA viruses. This group of viruses, they possess a double-stranded RNA genome, and the replication in this group is monocistronic and includes an individual segmented genome. That is, each of the gene codes for only one protein, unlike other viruses. Family under this group includes the Reoviridae and the Birnaviridae. Next is the group 4, which includes the positive sense single-stranded RNA viruses. Group 4 viruses reproduce in the cell cytoplasm, and the viruses in this group are further divided into two groups. The first one is viruses with polycistronic mRNA, where the genome RNA forms the mRNA and it is further translated into a polyprotein product, which is then further cleaved to form the mature protein. The next is the viruses with complex transcription, for which subgenomic mRNAs, ribosomal frameshift, and the proteolytic processing of the polyproteins may be used. Then the Estroviridae, Calciviridae, Coronaviridae, Flaviviridae, Picornaviridae, Arteriviridae, and the Togaviridae are the viruses that comes under this group. Next is group 5, that includes the negative sense single-stranded RNA viruses. Then the genes of this group of viruses cannot be directly accessed by host ribosome to immediately forms the protein. Instead, they must be transcribed by the viral polymerase into a readable form, which is the reciprocal of positive sense RNA. So this Arenaviridae, Automyxoviridae, Paramyxoviridae, Bunyaviridae, Filoviridae, and the Ravidoviridae are the families that comes under this group. Now we'll come to group 6, that includes the reverse transcribing single-stranded RNA virus. So these viruses, they use the enzyme reverse transcriptase to convert the positive sense RNA into DNA. And they use DNA to create the templates, which is then spliced into the host genome using the enzyme integrase. Further, replication commences with the help of the host cell polymerase. The retroviruses are the example of this group of viruses. Now we'll come to group 7. That includes reverse transcribing circular double-stranded DNA virus. Under this, viruses have a double-stranded gaped genome that is subsequently filled in to form a covalently closed circle that serve as a template for the production of viral mRNA. Hepatnaviridae is one of the examples of the group. So that was about the general properties and classification of viruses, and I'll wind up by stating that these viruses are the unique among the infectious agent, and their distinctiveness, it resides in their simple acellular organization and their pattern of reproduction. So viruses have an enormous impact on human and other organisms, yet very little is known about their nature. Also, their classification is the subject of ongoing debate and proposal. So this is mainly due to the pseudo-living nature of viruses, which are not yet definitively living nor non-living. Hence, they do not fit neatly into the established biological classification system.